In today's episode, I'm going to be showing you how I fitted my sink and replaced the damaged worktop. But in the last episode, remember I did my hob. I replaced the hob and oven. So if you haven't already checked that episode out, you can check that out in the previous section. I'm basically redoing my kitchen out. I've started putting the worktops in. I've started looking at the sink. I did the gas oven like into the worktop. So all of that was in the previous episode, and I decided to do the sink. So this is a sink section. So welcome to this episode. I'm going to be explaining how to replace your sink, how to use these little join units, because what I wanted is I could have had one full worktop here, but I thought if I need to replace anything, I'll have to raise a whole entire worktop to raise or move anything out. So I did the oven separately and I did the sink separately. So if I have any issues with the sink, I can take that section out and replace that individually and not have to worry about replacing the whole 3 meter length. So what I've got here is the old worktop, which basically degraded, and you'll see it was just, it's a lot of these are just cheap stuff. If you're using the basic stuff, like, you know, the worktops for kitchens, the £100, £110 versions, they're just basically simple particle stuff with the laminate on top, and it makes it look like it's quality, but it's not really. But it lasts time. This has been here for 10 years, and that worktop's done okay. It just over time, the sink water has been going and kind of failed the joints, and it's been sucking it up, and it's just got soft and spongy. There may have been a DIY fix for that, but I thought I'm just going to replace it. It's easier to replace the whole thing. So the top laminate started coming away. It was still firm, but the new worktop here, because I bought a full 3 meter length, I've put my oven hob in one of them, and I've got the other one for this section here. So I'm just going to cut it two sides using my old template. I made a little layout. I did a little hole, used my jigsaw, cut it out. With the jigsaw, cut upside down, and also get a nice blade. You can get these blades on Amazon. You can go to your local plumbing shop. You can go to DIY, go wherever you want to go. They're not expensive. You're looking at about £8-9 maximum for like a set of 6 or 7 quality ones. Or if you're using it one time, you can even get the cheap ones. I've seen T-shank jigsaw blades from like as little as £4, £3. I'll put links in the description if you want to check them out, affiliate links. So yeah, if you need them, or just go to Wix or Homebase and pick them up. Whatever's easier for you if you're in the middle of the project. But if you're planning it in advance, you can buy all the stuff in advance at a better price, so it works out cheaper for you. So you'll see I'm just going around with the blade, taking my time, slowly adjusting the worktop as I'm cutting, and did that trick again. So you see as I'm getting towards the end, I've screwed a little piece of wood on there just to hold the inner piece so it doesn't drop out on me. So see, it just moved rather than dropped out on the floor, and cause pressure on your blade when you're cutting, because then it starts burning as heat friction gets introduced. So then undo that screw, take out the whole section, because you can use this as a bit of a handle to pull out the whole inner section that you just cut out, and that helps. So now I've got a nice new unit. I'm going to get some silicone. What I've just cut, I'm going to put silicone all the way around. This isn't anything fancy. It's just normal kitchen silicone, multi-use. I had black because I've got black worktops. I just used that. You can use white, you can use anything. These are like the cheapo things, the £3, £5 a tube. I just checked to see if it fits, and it was a nice fit, and then the sink will sit inside this. So again, this is just like a journey to show you my kitchen revamp and how I did things. I cut out little slots in the back section for the pipe to go out for the drainage section. The kitchen's coming along nicely. You'll notice I haven't put the tiles above the unit yet. I wanted to put the unit in first and then worry about that. So the kitchen sink sits inside. Mine's are the single bowl but round type, is not the square type. And this is, again, like, you know, I've had this for 10-11 years. The sink is doing all right, so there's no point changing it. Where possible, if you can reuse so you don't waste stuff, it's the best idea to do that. I've only really replaced this because that kitchen worktop unit was slightly just unusable now because it's getting moldy. So this the sink, there's a fine art to this. I can explain it, but when you put it in, there's little sections below it, and yeah, it's going to take me too long to explain. I might show you a little video of it. So what I did is I put my silicone in and then started worrying about sealing up all the silicone cut joints. So now that I've seen what happens if you don't do this, it's a simple trick, couple of pounds, £5-6, and everything will expand its life a lot longer. If the current sink unit that I was using had this done to it, it would have not had the situation that I'm replacing this for. So I cleaned it, put a bead of silicone around, used a little plastic scraper, and just used it to seal what I've cut. So anything you're cutting is becoming, absorbent because it can absorb water. So this sealant I've done is I put a bead in, I'm just scraping it on the surface and allowing that to set. It's not there to join the sink to make a join or anything, it's just there to make a protective layer. If any water droplets get down, it doesn't easily sink into the wood because this PVC, this silicone layer acts as a bit of a membrane for it. So it's just something to keep in mind. Hopefully this is giving you some kind of, advice, not advice, information. So if you do this yourself, you can think about these little things, or if you have builders come around and they're doing it, you can advise or see if they're doing this. If they're not, say, do you mind doing this so that I've got longevity? And it doesn't look amazing, it's just more there for function than beauty. It stops the wood being absorbent basically and sucking up moisture or water. So you see multi-purpose silicone. I got the black stuff because I've got black work units, and you'll see it's just, yeah, nothing fancy, straightforward. Let it dry, spin it around, seal up any of the other cut joints that are going to be against the wall, against other units, and you can probably use a tube on all of this. I didn't use much, I used this one tube for sealing all these cut sections as well as sealing around all the units, like once they were in place. I say units, I mean worktops. So that's the sink section of this overall episode. I've got more stuff coming in this episode as well as my future sections of this. I'll put them into small sections just so you can keep an eye out on what's happening. It's more like a diary for me than anything else. So at least I can look back and remember what I've done, because sometimes I'll get to a point, like for example what's happening now. We're doing this replacement. In 5-6 years time I might decide to change a unit. I can look at this video and see, oh okay, I did this. I've got taps in the back of this sink, I've put 2 separate worktops on. So if I want to replace this sink, I can easily just take the top section off, replace the sink. If I want to replace the hob, I can take the lower section off. And also like where my taps are, where my water things are, so all of these little things. So you'll see here, this is what I was talking about. There's these little metal brackets. They're like little well, brackets, but like hinges that you can open up the screw. They hinge back, and then you put it in and the hinge in. With this type of thing, I wasn't sure how it worked, to be honest with you. What I did is I just looked at the section, I unscrewed it and I looked at it. I sat there, I just figured out, okay, so this is a screw. When you screw the screw in, it makes this section protrude out. If you screw in out further, then that section can fully go at a 90-degree angle, which means I can use that to go into the worktop. So like, things like this, you can just look at it and work out from what it's doing, what it's meant to be used for. Because sometimes people will use it incorrectly or rush into it and then end up breaking the clips, and then you end up having to wait around to get replacement clips and just extending everything. So my moral of the story is basically take your time, have a look at it. If you're unsure, just re-evaluate what it's actually doing. The sink was held in place before. Take a photo of it before you undo it, and then use that photo to help you to put it back together again. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. But that's basically my moral with all of my stuff that I do. Just work it out. If you can't work it out, ask someone who knows or hire someone to do it for you, which is what I did for my extension build. So if you remember, I built an extension on the back of my house. I thought professional builders, and worked out they weren't as good as what I thought they would be, and I could have done it a lot better myself, which ended up throwing out the builders and doing it myself in the end. But yeah, that's a totally different section. But this is my own section now where I'm just redoing the kitchen. So you'll see now I've got full length worktop. Looks a lot more clean, a lot more sleek. There is a slight joint there. You can see where that metal bead is. And also the worktops were in place. I got this special moldable PVC. This stuff, it's not meant to be used for this purpose, but I liked the look of it, and it made me feel like, oh, it gives me a nice little touch, a bit sleek, especially because that section is there. So what I did is I got a hairdryer, blew out all the debris from the hole, heated up the adhesive element because it had a self adhesive back, and then stuck this all the way along the back of the unit like a mini splashback, just because of what's happened in the past. So you remember the reason I'm doing this is my sink, water got behind the sink, it messed up all my worktop. So now I thought, how can I stop that happening in future? And I did 2-stage approach to this. I put silicone on the back of the worktop where I cut it so that it's got a bit of improved moisture retention, like to stop moisture coming through. And then I saw this PVC splashback, which basically any water that hits the wall will come back into the sink, as opposed to go around the back of the wall and allow the wood to suck this up. So I might put links in the description to this stuff. If you want it, let me know. I'm not really bothered about if you buy it from my link or if you go to Wix and Homebase or wherever you get it from, whatever's convenient for you, just work it out. I'm just showing you what I did. Again, if you buy it from my link, it's like an affiliate link, so legally I need to tell you that I earned something off it. But yeah, don't do whatever's the cheapest option for you, do it that way. If it's on Amazon for like 10 quid and you see it in Homebase for 8 quid, buy it from Homebase. I don't want you spending extra money just because it's like a link. Okay, so now here's that same silicone that I used, and what you can do with this silicone is I put tape on the top of it, but I thought I've got an extra one of these silicone tops, let me just get a fresh one. And then when I put that PVC rubber stuff, I put that on the wall, and then I sealed the bottom and the top. So if any water does go on there, you don't think that this area will get water, but when you make cup of tea, when you're washing pots, pans, little sprinkles like, drop everywhere in the kitchen. And especially if you got the taps, because my tap is quite a rubbish tap, to be honest. I got my tap from Lidl. They had a special on, it's £30. It's one of the taps that when you put it on, it's like LED built inside it. So when it's cold water, it's blue. When it's hot water, it's red. But it comes out really like high pressure. And when it hits the sink, it creates a lot of splashback. So I might end up changing that. It's a good tap, but I don't like the way the water comes out of it. So yeah, that's a tangent. But now what I'm doing is just siliconing in here. Again with this, there's, oh my days, there's thousands of videos out there, thousands of shorts about how to get the perfect silicone. Just do what's best for you. I've seen a lot of those videos, and they're the 10 tips to get smooth silicone finish. When you come to do it, you just forget all the stuff you watched. It's like, what? There's loads of ways of doing. Oh, use your finger, use fairy, use this silicone, use a straw cut in this specific way, use a card with a corner cutter, all this fancy stuff. You don't really need any of that. Just do it how you're comfortable doing it. And a lot of times you'll notice that the videos you think are tips and you're learning from, when you watch them, they sound like, oh yeah, that's a great tip. When it comes to actually doing the job, it's not exactly the same situation as what the video was. So yeah, I'm putting the silicone all the way to the end, black silicone, let it dry a little bit, then go over and smooth it on the bottom and the top. You'll see also, because I did a plug, you'll see there's a wire here, just closest to you, the camera side. There's like a little wire coming out. That wire is for my hob. I put it into a socket so I could turn it on and off. What I realized is sometimes the electric hob won't automatically turn off. Like I'll do like a grill on there and it'll still be going for 10 minutes after the grill is finished, even though it's on like the 0 position and the manual mode position. So I don't know if that's a function thing. So I basically switch it off on the wall, because otherwise if electric hob's on and you forget, you're going to lose a lot of money overnight, especially with electric prices and stuff. So I felt like this way was better because I've got a switch for it. So yes, I did a little silicone thing. I've got a damp cloth, worked my way around and just did the best I could do. And to be honest, I was impressed. I was happy with it. For a like a DIY job, it's perfectly fine. So that's like this mini makeover of my kitchen section. If you haven't already seen the other episodes, I basically walked through a number of sections of this and how I got here. The tiling worked out nicely. I graded it. I worked out patterned tile. If I was going to do this again, I wouldn't get patterned tiles. They look great, but they just double up all the time you need to line up the patterns, cut them so that the patterns all line up. Oh my god, millimeter perfection. And especially if you're a perfectionist, you're just going to spend way too long on this. So overall here you'll see I let it dry a little bit, and then the extra sections came off, and I used like a little plastic scraper thing just to scrape away the excess. And again, this is like a little mini project just to update the kitchen. You will see later episodes where I'm actually moving to adding an extra ensuite onto my bedroom. So I'm just doing all these projects to get them out the way now, because I'm just like, in work mode. So on screen you'll see the next episode, which is slightly different, but it's a toilet bathroom in a bedroom. I'll see you on that episode.